In section 4-4, we're going to talk about what we do when there are errors in journalizing and when there are errors in posting. So the first situation we're going to talk about is when there is an error in a journal entry after it has already been posted. So that's the key. We've talked about making errors in a journal entry before, but we hadn't talked about posting yet. So it's much more permanent after it's been posted. So a journal entry that is incorrect and has been posted requires what's called a correcting entry. So in order to do a correcting entry, you're going to have a memo always, and that is what your source document is for the correcting entry that will go in the journal. That explains what the error was and what needs to be done to correct it. So that is a correcting entry. So here we go. We have a situation where we journalized and posted an error as a debit to miscellaneous expense when we should have debited advertising expense. So we need to first of all deal with what we should have done and then cancel out our error. So the first step is we should have debited advertising expense. So we're going to do that. And then we need to cancel out the debit to miscellaneous expense. So to cancel a debit, we're going to credit. We need to credit miscellaneous expense. So our journal entry is going to look like this. On the 17th, we're debiting advertising expense. That's what we should have debited originally. Then we are going to credit miscellaneous expense to cancel out the original entry. So that is what the journal entry looks like. Notice that we are crediting an expense, which we don't usually do, but we're doing that in order to cancel out an error. So you might come into the situation where you're going to have to debit sales possibly if you made an error and credited sales. You may have to debit sales, which we've never done before, in order to cancel out that error. So correcting entries are a little bit different because you're correcting an error, but this is the steps. What you should have done, and then cancel out your original error. And our source document, again, is that memo. Now what do we do if we are posting, we make an error in posting, and we post to the wrong account? So the first situation, we posted to prepaid insurance when we should have posted to supplies. So the first step, you draw a line through the entire incorrect entry. Then you go into what you should have done. So we should have done supplies, and we put it in the correct place and make sure that you update the balance. So that is what we do if we post in the wrong account. Here's what we do if we post in the correct account, but in the wrong column. So we were supposed to post a debit and we accidentally put it in the credit. So we need to draw a line through that credit. Step 2, put it in the correct location, which is a debit, and then update the balance. The last scenario, what if we put an incorrect amount? So if the amount is incorrect, but we were supposed to do $45 and instead we accidentally did $450, we cross out $450, the correct amount above it, and then finally make sure that you have that balance updated. Because remember, the only reason we post is to have an updated balance. So it's really important that the balance always gets updated. So that is section 4-4 in the end of chapter 4.